Right on.
Okay, so today we are discussing Expedition Cruises, a brand you may not have heard of, HX, on Dream, Travel, Share, Unpacked.
Can hardly wait.
If you'd like to receive an email version of today's show, along with our weekly travel opportunities, click on the link below to join our mailing list. We promise to only send you one email a week every Friday. You can unsubscribe at any time, and we won't share your email address with anyone else.
So, Bob, tell us what an expedition cruise is.
Yeah, that's actually really a lousy name for any cruise because as soon as you say expedition, people think that they need to be Olympic athletes or that they've somehow scaled Everest or something. All an expedition cruise is it's a cruise that goes, beyond the Caribbean ports. It's cruises that go to the more remote corners of the world, and you're doing more sort of outdoor stuff. So you are doing, I'll call it hiking, but it's more like gentle walking. It's kayaking, it's being out in Zodiac boats, it's being closer to nature and wildlife and scenery. Great for photographers, great for anybody that likes being outdoors. And again, just a little bit different than a normal sort of ocean cruise, but expedition is really kind of an unfortunate word.
So, who goes on these kinds of cruises?
You know what? Old fat people. I've been on a few of these, and it is. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Of course, there are some younger people on this and any cruise, but it's surprisingly the demographic skews a little bit older. So I would argue the last one I was on was in Galapagos Islands. Age range was 20 to 82. The average age was probably about 55. I would argue that most people that go on these cruises are sort of 55 to 75 and a very average fitness level. So if you're using a mobility aid, a wheelchair or a walker, probably not right for you. But if you are of moderate fitness, meaning you can walk up a flight of stairs or two, doesn't matter how long it takes. Or the other test we use is, can you get in and out of a bathtub unassisted? Because that sort of replicates the process of getting in and out of a Zodiac or a kayak.
Okay, that's good. That dispels some myths. I think a lot of people think about that expedition cruising.
Yeah, I think
Hey,
I think the biggest thing, Kim, is that you have to be curious about the area in which you're going to. So everybody wants to go to Antarctica. Some people just want to go for bragging rights so they can say they put their foot on the seventh continent. Nothing wrong with
yeah.
that. Have at her. There's lots of companies that'll take you there. In other places like Greenland, remote Alaska, the Galapagos Islands, the Kimberley Coast in Australia, like some of these other places, the Amazon River Basin, some of these other places that are more remote, you have to be curious. You just have to be curious about where you're going. That's the biggest requirement is that you're interested in the nature and what curious about the natural area in which you're with. In the case of Greenland, for example, you have to be curious about the cultures there. There's indigenous peoples there.
Can you tell us who is HX?
Yeah, so a new brand, although not a new company. So HX, some folks may know them as Hurtigruten, and they changed their name to HX mostly because I think most of us in the United States couldn't say Hurtigruten. It's a Norwegian company, and they've been around for over 100 years. They've been doing Antarctic expeditions. They do lots of other stuff too, but they've been doing Antarctic expeditions since the late 19th century. So 1890 something was their first expedition to Antarctica. They are now known in the American marketplace as HX. So, but it's still the
Oh,
same company, same people. We've known them for years. We know all the players on board. They've just changed their branding a bit.
okay. Yeah, I did see them everywhere, all over Norway.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've
okay.
got in Norway.
Um,
Norway's a bit of a different case. So in Norway, they actually run. They're contracted with the Norwegian government to run the coastal ferries up and down the coast. That
mm,
Norwegian coastal stuff still goes by the name Hurtigruten because again, it's a Norwegian name and they're operating in Norway. For all the other places they go, they will operate under the HX brand.
can you tell us where they go?
Yeah, I mean the bread and butter is most obviously Antarctica, and that's what they're most famous for. But they also go, as I sort of mentioned, they go to the Galapagos Islands. Sue and I traveled with them to Galapagos a few months ago with HX. They go to Greenland. They do some stuff on the Norwegian coast, not the coastal ferries I described, but they go up to Svalbard, which is well north of the Arctic Circle. This is a long way north, right? So HX heads
Mm-hmm.
up there. They do the Northwest Passage, so that is the space between Greenland, and Alaska across the Canadian Arctic. So there's not really a coastline up there. It's more an archipelago of islands. But the famed Northwest Passage. So they do that one. Um, they do some stuff in repositioning season because obviously these ships. So right now in March they will be just wrapping up Antarctica season, and they will head north. And so there's some repositioning stuff that they would do in South America and the Caribbean. And they also operate in Alaska, and those cruises look an awful lot different than sailing on one of the big mega ships to Alaska.
Yeah, I bet they do. Okay. So what other expedition companies are out there and how do they differ from HX?
Yeah, so I've just posted an interview I did with HX's with the chief expedition officer for HX, a guy named Alex McNeil. I just posted on our YouTube channel where we talk about this for a half hour, who they are and how they're different and whatnot. So for folks that are real interested, you should click on that. There's lots and lots of companies in the expedition space, which is great for consumers because it means you got lots of choice. So a lot of the luxury small ship ocean cruise companies also have expedition wings. So companies like Seabourn, Silversea, Viking, they all have expedition vessels. On the pure expedition play would be HX, of course. HX would compete with companies like Lindblad, National Geographic, Quark. There's another one I'm forgetting, but those are the most of the ones that we book. There's lots and lots of choices out there for people that want to get into the more remote corners of the world, and we're happy to chat through which one might be the best for you.
Great, Bob. Thanks for all that information. What are we talking about next week?
Next week, Kim, we're going to give a little window inside our world, you and me. We get lots of questions when we're on the phone with folks about what we do when we're on vacation and how we like to travel and some of those things. So you and I are going to have a bit of a chin wag on some of our preferences when we go away.
That sounds perfect. I look forward to it.
We'll talk to you then.
Okay.
If you enjoyed this video blog, it really helps us when you like, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so that we know the best content to produce for you. If you want to book a cruise or packaged land vacation, then we'd love to help you out. We know the products and destinations very well, and we can always get you something not available on direct bookings. Our coordinates are in the notes below. Also, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, you get one email a week every Friday with some commentary and some different deals that we're seeing in the marketplace. We don't share your information with anyone else, and if you decide it's not for you, then we're sorry to see you go, but there's an unsubscribe button at the bottom of every email. See you next time.
Interested in it, curious about the sort of blooper.